Yo, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Movie Newbie. My name's Jibril Sahimi, and I am the newbie.
Oliver Mangum, writer, producer, fellow film lover, occasionally capable of insight.
Raphael Lucas, thespian, cinephile, and human golden retriever.
So yeah, enjoy the show.
Yo, what's up, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Newbie. I'm your host, Jibril Sahimi, and as usual, I am joined by the two guys. Le mec, was it? Le garçon?
Le garçon?
Yeah, I try to remember this
Hey,
one.
this time there's two garçons.
There's two boys.
Well,
two
there's-
garçons.
we're all garçons.
Well, yeah, it's like there's only two guys. Two garçons.
Well, we've got the usual dudes, Raph and Ollie. How about you guys say hello?
Hello.
Bonjour.
Or A, as they might say in Canada.
Hey.
A, this is
Or
a
Canadian. New York.
Canadian story that we're talking about.
Do you have any Percocets?
And we also have our final guest for the theme. Is a good friend of mine and a good friend of the show now. He's actually the partner of a former guest. We have Nico Baviere.
Yes,
Did I say it
that's how you
correctly?
pronounce it.
Baviere? Yeah.
I'm very glad to be here. Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Jibril.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. And I felt like this would be a very good guest to have because he is a musician,
True.
soon to be film composer,
Yeah. Now for composer.
Ooh
Yeah.
la la.
cinephile. And yeah, I just want to plug in a few things as well. Coming off a recent EP as well that released in March.
Yes, it's the
February?
second time you're supporting that EP, and thank you
I
very
got
much,
you, bro.
Jibril.
February or March?
It came out February.
February.
And what's the name of the EP?
The EP is called One Eye'd Hound.
Mhm.
It's fully produced by myself, just guitar and voice, songwriting, folky, bluesy, experimental.
It's badass as fuck. But yeah,
Okay.
welcome Nico. Welcome Nico.
Cheers,
Welcome.
guys. Very happy to
Bienvenue,
be here.
bienvenue.
Welcome.
Yeah. So do you want to take it away, Ollie, for episode 90?
Yeah, sure. So for the final episode of my bad romance theme, we're kind of taking a bit of a sharp left turn from where we left off last episode within The Mood for Love and going kind of into the romantic action comedy terrain. So we're doing Scott Pilgrim versus the World, a 2010 motion picture co-written, produced, and directed by the one and only Edgar Wright, based on the graphic novel series Scott Pilgrim by Bryan Lee O'Malley. It stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Kieran Culkin, Chris Evans, Anna Kendrick, Alison Pill, Brandon Ruth, Jason Schwartzman, and of course, Mr. Michael Cera,
Brie
the
Larson.
hero.
Did you
Sorry?
say Brie Larson?
Yeah, Brie Larson. It's a stacked cast, so we can get into that
It's a
later.
crazy cast,
But yeah, it and it also has, last but not least, Michael Cera in the titular role of Scott Pilgrim.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited to talk about this. I thought it'd be fun to do something a little bit more goofy, a little bit more eccentric, a little bit more action-packed as well, because we don't always talk about spectacle-driven films, I guess, for lack of a better word, in this podcast. So yeah, I'll just give my overall general thoughts before throwing it over to you guys. So the story of me and Scott Pilgrim, I was a big fan of the comic books back when I was when I was more of a classic comic book fan, I suppose, when I was a teenager. I loved Michael Cera, I loved Edgar Wright, I loved all those staples. And so when this came out, I was really excited to see it. And yeah, I kind of loved it, but I also felt that I was really... I guess I was kind of conditioned to love it. Let's just say that. You know when you go into a cinema and you're like, I already love this movie before you've even watched it.
Yeah.
So in the years that have gone by since, I wasn't sure that I could necessarily trust those feelings. And it's been years since I last watched this film. So coming back to it, I was like, I'm not actually sure if I'm going to enjoy it as much as I used to when I was 16 or 17. But yeah, I'm really glad to say, rewatching it this time, I really enjoyed it. This is a fun film. All the reasons I initially loved it are still there. I think Edgar Wright is a masterful filmmaker. I think, we can talk about his framing, his choice of music, his kineticism, his choreography. But what I really love about Edgar Wright and what stands out this time is his editing. I think this is the only filmmaker out there who really uses editing as a tool for comedy. A lot of comedic filmmakers, they aim the camera at their actors. They just press play and they record and they just see what happens. But Edgar Wright really believes that all the tools of the cinematic toolkit can be used to wring humor out of a situation. And I just love the way he cuts and edits his films and uses transitions from point A to point B to create comedy. And I thought the casting was incredible. I thought a lot of the jokes still worked. In terms of the negative, I do think that the second act drags a little bit. I feel like they struggle to sort of fit in all of the X's. So I feel like some of them get short shrift as an example. Because this was a book series that went on for like 7 or 8 books. So to fit it into a 2-hour film, I think they did a good job with what they accomplished, but I feel like some of the exes, like the twins, you know, I don't think they even spoke in this film.
Yeah.
And so I felt like they were trying to jam pack everything, and so I felt that second act kind of dragged a little bit for me. But I thought it came together so nicely in the third act, and I really loved the ending. I also have some problems with some of the racial humor, shall we say, in this film, but I think we can get into that a little bit later. But overall, had a really great time revisiting this film. But I want to hear what you guys think. Nico, as our guest, I would love to hear what you think first.
Cool. So yeah, I think I saw that movie probably 6 or 7 times. I'm a good rewatcher of movies. And that one just really threw me off when I first saw it. It's just about like, I love comic books. And I didn't read the comic books like you did, but I've been spent my whole childhood reading comic books and just seeing how you can represent such an amazing story, respecting the whole environment and energy of a comic book on the screen was just mind blowing. And obviously coming from the whole music scene, all those great energies from the music, I just really loved the movie. But yeah, I think it was funny. And as a big lover, you know, like I've had plenty of girlfriends and ex-girlfriends.
It's out on the podcast now. Nico's a big lover, everyone.
Casablanca over here.
Shit, yeah, I was gonna listen to
It's getting
this.
hot in here. It's getting hot.
But yeah, I could relate quite well, I think. Like the pursuit for love always through music and fun, you know.
Yeah.
Honestly, really like that movie. What else can I say? But I'll come back to it.
Yeah. We're gonna dig into why we love it or what we didn't love about it when we get to the categories. But Jabril, why don't you tell us your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same as you guys. Like, I grew up loving music. I grew up loving Michael Cera movies.
Yeah.
So this is not like the first movie that he's done that was kind of music based. He had that one with what's her
Nick
name?
and Nora's Infinite
Nick and Nora.
Playlist.
Is that the one where they go around?
They're in New York trying to find that
this
missing
band, Bunny? They're looking for
Yes,
Bunny.
yeah.
I love that movie.
Me
so,
too.
Like,
I really like that.
it's one of
movie
my
as well.
favorite films of all time. So I love the sound of like his bass. I don't know, it's weird, but like that heavy like bass sound. So using that as kind of like his superpower in this film was kind of cool. Like you said with the comics, it was a refreshing take on comics because if I'm not wrong, around that time, well, I guess around the noughties or the thousands, there was like Sin City and like a lot of these comic book adaptations, but they were all pretty dark.
300,
300, Watchmen. I mean, like when I say like a comic book adaptation, like using the comic book style.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So I really liked the way this was done, but then again, I also do have like obviously, the weird like Asian jokes. I've never read the comic, so I can't really tell you if that comes from the book or is it a book or a comic or both?
It's a series of graphic novels.
Series of graphic novels. Yeah. So I've never read them, so I wouldn't be able to tell you if that's like from the source material. Is it?
It's been a while since I revisited, but I believe some of the jokes and plot lines were there in the comic books.
But yeah, I don't know.
But seeing it actually happen on screen, I think hits a little differently than reading in a comic book.
Also, the fact that it's like we're watching it in like our current lens. Yeah. It's not that it made me feel uncomfortable, but it's like, ooh, like that's something that would never go this day and age, especially even with like jokes of like dating like someone who's in high school.
Yeah, a 17-year-old when you're 22.
Yeah, that's something that's like I don't really see nowadays. Like on,
I feel like you'd be a bit more
screen.
concerned with what Twitter might have to say.
Exactly. Yeah.
But also just like looking at it, everyone was shitting on him for dating a 17-year-old. So it's not like they made it a good thing.
It was part of the.
And he's not like meant to be an admirable character.
No,
like,
he's not.
At that
he's
point,
kind of a loser.
Yeah, kind of an asshole. So, this is my second watch, I think, or third. I remember watching it once when I was a child. So, it's weird. While I was watching it, I didn't know how I wanted to feel about it, but like you said, amazing editing, amazing sound design, and I don't think it's very left field after we watched Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Interesting. Yeah,
It's actually kind of like full circle,
Kind of
you know,
vanilla.
like how like the extreme left and the extreme right are almost the same. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I see
Yeah.
what you mean. Yeah.
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 Sorry, that was a
Yeah.
little bit of a long one, but yeah, Ralph, how
No,
about
no.
you?
I mean, yeah, for me, I'll just quickly give my thoughts, but I'm a huge fan of Edgar Wright. I think he was part of the filmmakers that I, had just a huge he made such a huge impact on my cinephile journey as a kid, straight off the heels of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, the Cornetto trilogy. I was kind of obsessed with this director, and I had made films with a buddy of mine called Justin Villar and Josh, and we kind of they kind of imbued some of his personality and some of his signature traits. So we kind of made films of that same vein, like short films of that same vein. So we were very obsessed when this film came out. I've watched this film countless times, and I keep forgetting how funny it is.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I laughed throughout, and the writing, like the way it's written, as well as the edit, it just combines it so well. So it's such a pleasure to see this film and just to laugh, man. So I literally on favorite quote, I'm like, I've written so much down. I think this is my most filled favorite
Oh
quote.
yeah, it's so tough. It's so tough.
And I think Michael Cera perfectly imbues this character, because the graphic novel, dear to my heart as well. He was born to play this role. I think it was like the Michael Cera like era.
It's interesting though, because a lot of people at the time, I was really big into the film blogs when I was really into film blogs and reading about film news when this movie came out, and a lot of people at the time of his casting and after the film came out said Michael Cera is miscast in this movie.
Really?
But but I think since watching it now, I completely agree. I think he nails this character so well. I think 'cause before that he'd usually played quite nebbish, uptight, sort of dorky characters, and he didn't really embody the slacker.
But for me, it's quite close to what he played in Juno, for example, and it's the same kind of goofy character, kind of, And I think he was definitely born to do that role, and also born to have that haircut.
Absolutely.
100%.
I always thought it's just him just being a little bit more of an asshole. Just like same character, but just like a little bit more of an asshole.
Well, I think he went on to play more of these types of roles after this film came out.
He was definitely.
I think before he was had probably been typecast in that Arrested Development, Superbad mold. But yeah, I agree. I think he's fantastic in this film.
And you're getting really the signature blend of Edgar Wright here. You're getting all of Edgar Wright in this movie. It's the most Edgar Wright film, I think, that he's done, in my opinion, apart from maybe the Cornetto trilogy. But if you love his films, this is definitely like one of the highlights, I think. And he just, it seems that he cherishes this work, this source material, and he's put a lot of love into it. So much love that he stopped writing for Ant-Man in order to continue writing this film, because I know that he was attached to Ant-Man for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When did this movie come out?
He dropped out. 2010.
2010. And Ant-Man?
I think like 2014,
15.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was always he was attached for a long time because he was writing it. He was coming up with original screenplay for that film, and then he just kind of put that to the side and decided to really put all his efforts to Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So yeah, big fan of this film. Big fan of this film. And the ensemble, man, the cast. Yeah. The cast is bonkers.
Yeah. I think, that might be my favorite thing about this film.
Yeah.
But why don't we get to, speaking of favorites, the categories. So favorite scene, Nico.
It was a hard one to choose.
Yes,
honestly.
I agree. I agree with you. I was just telling Ollie, I was like, it's really hard.
But before rewatching it, I've asked myself that very question: what's my favorite scene? And just with the memories of all the whole movie, it's definitely the base battle with the vegan
with Brendan Roof. Where has he been? Where he was Superman at one point. Where is he?
True. Yeah. But I think
he was Superman. Yeah.
He was
underrated Superman.
No, it's a very cool scene. I think I grew up playing Guitar Hero. And at the end of every level, you have those battles with Slash or Tom Morello and things like that. And just like seeing those two bassists battle together with all that energy. And of course, there's this whole humor around the whole fact that he's a vegan and that he has those
Yeah.
superpowers.
yeah. So
I
good.
love that. Yeah.
I don't know, it's just a great scene. And like what I really like out of this scene is when he falls into that hole in the wall and then comes back with his bass and you just have the letter D coming back.
Yeah, so cool.
It's just so cool.
There's one.
I always wanted to be on stage and like actually have letters coming out of my guitar, you know?
Oh, dude.
It's just leaving the dream is that scene really.
And like that, there's that one shot I think when he first like blows him through all of those walls,
Yeah.
and like the camera pulls back, and you just see each room he goes into getting lit up as his body's flying through it.
Yeah.
Like it's just one of my favorite shots in the
That is
whole film.
brilliant, yeah. And when they arrive into for the last duel, when they arrive on the stage and there are all those plastic cups everywhere, which really
Ah, yeah,
represents
I
the
didn't even notice
realism
that
of the-
before. Yeah, but because there had just been a concert there, hadn't there?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And it's like special cameo from like Thomas Jane and Clifton Collins
Oh my
Jr.
God.
as well. I was
The
like,
vegan
what?
police.
Yeah,
That's
the
literally
vegan police.
that's probably one of my. I mean, this might be stepping on it, but that's like one of my favorite gags in the
Yeah,
entire
yeah.
movie. Is the
Right?
vegan police.
I was like, what? Yeah, so good.
But honestly, yeah, very hard to choose a favorite scene
Yeah.
because it's just all good. The skate scene as well is just brilliant.
And it's filmed with such kinetic energy that it goes so fast. So it's really hard to like
Yeah.
really decide, oh shit, which scene am I gonna?
Yeah.
Because that's typical Edgar as well. He's just like, it's just
Yeah.
infused with energy.
I can't imagine like how much film he uses when he's making his movies compared to
Oh, yeah.
other directors. Like I feel like the amount of takes or the editing process must be so much more drawn out because he just shoots so much material. Like I think there are very few shots which are doubled in this movie.
Yeah.
Because I think that Edgar Wright wanted to feel like reading a comic book where no two frames look identical. So he doesn't do like a typical 1,
A,
2,
B
3.
kinda thing,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Cutting back between.
Interesting.
So yeah, but that's a great pick. That whole sequence in general is
quite a
definitely one
good-
of my
yeah.
favorite parts of the film. Raph.
Yay! It's always fun just like getting picked by the host who makes these themes. It's like, okay, and you. I have two. I'll give an honorable mention to the final KO when he punches Jason Thwartman, and it's Thwartman. Schwartzman. Thwarted. Because it's just like you get like the gigantic KO in the background. You get him just like withering into coins, and it's just like a really cool shot. It's very satisfying. But I'm gonna go for the classic. He's not home, and then you get Michael Cera flying out the window.
Yeah.
I just thought that because it's so quick, it's so hilarious, and it's just
Because you don't expect it
You
to.
don't
I totally
expect-
forgot that
you
happened.
don't
actually.
expect it at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Kind of scene you can just rewind and rewind.
yeah,
and watch.
Yeah.
and it's one of the it really highlights the sharp, fast comedy of this film.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like you miss it, you miss it, and you won't get the
Yeah,
gag, right? You
yeah.
really have to just like be. It's like you have to be alert with this film, and it also like I don't know, it like paints. It's really it paints like a nice homage to the graphic novel like concept. And
Like,
the manga
pshing!
concept, yeah,
Yeah.
like there's all these things that like really pay homage to the concept of graphic novels and mangas and comic books
Yeah. And
it's
video
all in-
games, arcade
and video
games.
and arcade
There's a
games.
ton of
Yeah.
arcade game and like Nintendo references,
Yeah.
including the opening credit sequence for Universal Studios
Yeah.
with
Yes,
the 8-bit.
yes,
Mhm.
and
True, the
um,
coins whenever they die.
Yes,
Yeah.
the extra
Or-
life.
Yeah.
and his roommate who at first I think plays with a Game Boy Color or Game Boy
Young Neil.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Young Neil.
I love Young Neil because
played-
it's like
he-
Neil Young.
Yeah.
And Steven Stills is
Yeah.
named after
Good shout.
another famous musician who was in, was it Stills, Nash and Young? Or
Crosby, Still, Nash and Young.
yes,
Yeah.
that's
Ah,
it.
yeah.
Steven
There we
Stills is like
go.
was the name of
Oh,
one of
shit.
those
Subtle
band
references,
members.
Yeah.
subtle references. But yeah, he just like
Crazy.
plays with like a Game Boy Color, and then it's a couple of years later, it's a Game Boy Advance. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
a little hyper detail is
Yeah.
Edgar Wright, you know. So yeah, that's my favorite scene. Very quick, very sharp, very funny.
Excellent pick.
Nice.
Jabril?
I'm gonna go with. So I do have an honorable mention, but I'm gonna go with when Scott meets Ramona for the first time.
Mona.
Well,
Good
is
song.
it when they meet
Is
for
it when
the
he has
first
a
time?
dream or when he sees her at the party?
When he like he sees her like standing there and he
Oh.
tries the line that he tried
and,
on.
and you can see the way he's holding his cup as well.
yeah. It's so funny. So
All the details.
I've been in that situation so many times when I've
Yeah.
gone to like a house party in Singapore and I like don't know anyone and contrary to popular belief, but I was quite an awkward like guy when I first moved to Singapore
I can
because
see
like
it.
I was like, I don't know what to do. Oh my god, it's a girl.
What do I
and then,
say?
And then I'm like, let me just say like a weird fact, and they'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna go now. So that's, I guess, just because it reminded me of myself so much, and I don't know, I just love the like yin and yang of both characters.
Yeah.
You know how they're so different, and I guess you can see the attraction there, and I guess this is something that goes throughout all three movies that we've talked about. But I really saw myself in that character and how that happened. But yeah, I just thought it was really sweet.
Nice.
It was really
Beautiful,
sweet,
yeah.
and
Well
also
shot,
very
too.
physical, also very well
And I love the
shot.
montage of him stalking her or like watching her
Yeah,
the entire
yeah,
night.
Yeah.
With the narration, the you have those written lines that are kind of like in the voice of the writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I was
yeah.
gonna say that entire sequence when he's there and then he's like, he asked the guys like, "Oh, do you know Ramona?" And he's like, "Ramona." Yeah, that whole sequence was actually really great. Yeah, so
She's
I'm gonna
got
say
some
that.
battle scars.
Yeah.
Got some battle scars.
Yeah, all excellent choices. I was considering going with the vegan police sequence.
Yeah.
But just to be different, I'm gonna. Again, it's really hard to pick a single scene, like you said, because the movie moves so fast. So I'm just gonna go with the entire sequence that
The
is kind
entire
of the entire movie. Yeah, I love that scene. The first battle of the bands when Matthew Patel
Yes.
shows
Oh,
up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though this scene has one of my least favorite things in it, which is the borderline racist
borderline
Bollywood,
Bollywood
musical in
song.
the middle.
True.
With
But
guns,
but I
With the ghosts.
everything else about Matthew Patel I really love. Like I love how their song is just interrupted it by him like blowing a hole through the roof
Yeah.
and starting that fight, and then you have that great gag of how like Scott Pilgrim didn't bother to read the email about their upcoming impending duel, so he's completely taken aback, and we as the audience saw the email before, but you know we just put it to the back of our minds too. And I just love that line. What is it?
So I
Pirates are
skimmed
in this
Oh,
year,
yeah.
and and just like I love the choreography in that sequence as well. Like I love the hand-to-hand combat. I think that's like the first time we see any
Yeah.
fighting in this movie, and I think it really grounds the sort of kung fu comic book style of fighting or like martial arts that we see in this movie,
Yeah.
and I love that whole sequence.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk
Yeah.
about our like
Favorite
special-
performances?
No. The honorable mentions.
Oh yeah, sure.
I said mine. I said my honorable mention. So
What was it?
it was the final KO.
Ah,
punch
yes.
With him and
And what
Jason
was yours?
Dortmund.
I didn't get. I think I'd written down the
right.
vegan police sequence
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Oh, okay, then mine is
It's
the
yours.
twins. Yeah, the twin sequence. Simply because it reminds me of. So we used to go to this club called Zerka back in the day.
Is he
Oh.
inquisitive?
No. So what it
Double
reminded
twin
me of.
inquisitive.
Do you remember there was like 2 platforms in the dance floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
To
like,
anyone
people
that
would-
remembers Zerka.
So there was on the dance floor. There's 2 platforms that you could stand on,
Nice.
and then people would stand on them
And battle.
like battle dance each other, and it just reminded me of that. And I was like, oh,
Oh, good old times.
why am I remembering?
Can you
this
imagine
right
how
now?
nauseating being in that club would be, though? Not
Yeah.
Zerka, but like being in that club where you have
Yeah.
this crusty rock, like indie rock band,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then you have these 2 like Swedish house mafia DJs just battling in a wall of sound.
Japanese Daft
mean-
Punk.
I mean, yeah, it would be nauseated, but if you have those crazy visuals,
Yeah.
yeah, that
True.
would be cool though. Yeah,
Dude,
that
you'd
would-
be like fucking. I'd feel like I'd be on acid. Be like, whoa, I'm experiencing
Well,
2 different sounds.
This movie is like an entire acid trip.
This
Like-
movie can. I mean, imagine, watching this movie on acid. Holy fuck!
But you know what? I saw something quite similar in New York. They had like a small room with 2 punk bands on each side, and like the crowd was just mosh pitting in between. But
Oh
they were
my
not playing the
God.
same songs
That's
at
so
all.
strange.
It was just the punk vibe that was just
Yeah. Fuck
a
it.
lot for people.
Wow. Yeah, that does not sound enjoyable at all.
No,
But
that
very
sounds
punk,
intense.
very punk in a way, I suppose.
yeah,
yeah.
Super punk.
Okay, so favorite performance. Nico, would you like to go again first?
I'm gonna say the roommate. I have
Kieran
his name,
Culkin.
Wallace
yeah.
Wells.
Yeah.
Ro- Roman, good old Roman.
Yeah.
It's just he's so fast with his answers, and like it just makes me laugh so much. He's the character that makes me laugh the most, I think.
Yeah, he's fantastic in this film.
And great performance because he portrayed it perfectly, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Great job.
Yeah. This one was tough because I do want to crown it to.
What are you gonna do this time?
Yeah, I'm gonna do left field. I mean, I do want to mention the entire ensemble because like everyone pitch perfect.
I thought you were gonna say the font, or like the narrator.
Who's the voice? Bill Hader.
I want to give it up to the nurses because they're neglected in our society, underappreciated.
To the sound department on this one. To be fair, the sound department did a fucking fantastic job.
Yeah.
But no, I'll give it to Michael Cera. I think he was, again, like I said in the beginning, he was born to play this role. He so perfectly just like imbues this character. He is perfectly just captures Scott Pilgrim. He's hilarious. He's goofy. He's also a little bit like a bit dickish, a bit of an asshole. He doesn't quite know how to like handle relationships or break up with like either girl. Like I was like, man, I can see I related to him when I was younger. I was like, yep, I can see that. Or when he's really happy going on a date, and I was like, yeah, that's me right there too. So he gives off a lot of like great kinetic energy, and it helps this film. He like helps carry the energy of this film forward.
Yeah,
which is no easy task.
And he can actually play the bass as well, because
There we
Michael
go.
Cera
Yeah.
is a bass player.
He's a bassist.
And
There we
one
go.
thing I was thinking watching this film was that Jabril would be really annoyed with the actress who played the drummer, Alison Pill, because I've heard people pick up on the fact that it's very obvious that she doesn't know how to play the drums, or is not like a seasoned drummer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you notice that at all?
Well, not really,
Because
like,
you
don't
usually
really
pick
see
up
her.
on that. Yeah.
I didn't really see her playing. Yeah. Because funny you say that. I was gonna say she's my favorite.
Oh,
really?
right.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah,
There we
I
go.
really liked her
But I
in
think
this
she
film.
portrays quite well the
character.
the drummer for that kind of music.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
for
Yeah,
sure.
I have no
yeah.
Like
problem
the
with her
Nick White, you know?
performance, but I
Yeah,
just
yes,
remember
yes.
I just remember hearing someone reading someone say that you could tell that she wasn't like in time with the
Right.
which is for me, I would never even really pick up on that. But Jabril is someone I know you've
Yeah, well,
talked
we
about
have a
this
famous
before.
segment on this is are they playing the piano or not?
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of that in this film. I mean, this podcast. But yeah, for me it was Alison Pill, because I loved, like when I had a band in high school, I was like, we need to have a female member. And I always want, like, after watching this movie, I was like, oh, female drummer would be so cool. Like just the energy that to overcome being like in a male dominated like thing. So I loved her performance, and I found it like a really good portrayal of a girl who like was really hurt by him.
Yeah, by Scott. Yeah,
By Scott,
Yeah.
yet like still wanting to see like him do well.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I really thought that it was a very nuanced performance,
Absolutely.
especially with what she was with the screen time that she had.
Yeah.
You know, you could actually see it just with her eye work or gaze work or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah. There's like another film there as well. Like, there's like
Oh,
another
yeah.
story. To
I
be
would have
told
loved
there.
to see that movie where it's like her
The
and
graphic
him.
novels.
Yeah,
And
is it in the graphic novel?
Yeah, they do explore a little bit
expand
more.
on it.
too.
Cool.
Cute. Okay, cool.
But I think you're absolutely right. I do think it's a surprisingly layered performance, because she captures so well that that thing that happens to a lot of people when they're younger and they date, where someone gets hurt or someone gets dumped or broken up with, and then because you're in the same friendship circle or because you're in a band, for example, you have to very quickly get over your feelings and just
Coexist.
act cool, even though you're going to be nurturing that hurt for a long time, and you won't be able to find closure because you were never able to have that conversation properly. Well, fantastic choices again. For me, I had like so many different options to go with here, but I'm going to go with someone we haven't mentioned yet in this
Chris
episode.
Evans.
No, although amazing again, this film was so well
He was my
cast.
second choice.
Dude, I could have gone with
Captain America.
I could have gone with
Such a
Brandon
parody.
Ruth. I could have gone with Jason Schwartzman, who I love
Brandon Ruth to
as
be
Gideon
there.
Grace, but I'm going to go with Ellen Wong as Knives Chow.
Oh,
I
yeah.
fucking love Knives
Knives,
Chow, and that
nice.
actress. I'm just so sad things. I mean, I don't know what her life is like, but I'm just so sad she didn't blow up more after this. Like, she was in Glow, the TV series, which was
Oh,
really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
She's been in a couple of smaller things, but I think she's so good in this film.
Did she fall victim to like the typecast kind of thing?
Maybe, perhaps. And I think obviously her character is one of the more problematic things in this movie, but I feel like her performance rises above that because she gives this character such personality. I think she was like in her mid to late 20s when she filmed it, yet she is so believable as a 17-year-old. She's so funny and so physical and she's so charming as well.
She acts like a comic book character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
She does everything pitch perfect as like she literally brings that to life.
That was Knives Chow when I saw it on screen. I was like, that is Knives Chow.
Yeah.
You know the Spider-Man animated Into the Spider-Verse?
Into the Spider-Verse?
The Spider Girl with the robot? I feel like she would be a good live action version of that.
Yeah.
Let's make a live version of it.
Let's do it.
But I had a question regarding the comic book. You know, whenever we see an Nexus from what's her name again?
Ramona Flowers.
Thank you. You know, we have those images of the comic book. And is this the actual?
I think that's I don't know if they're the exact frames, but I think that's the animation style. I know Brandon Lee O'Malley. Bryan Lee O'Malley, sorry. I think he designed drew those himself. I think that some of them are either taken directly or adapted from the source material.
Cool.
And but fun fact, they're making an anime as well.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Which I think will be released this year.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Also, how many of them are actually from Toronto? There's Michael Cera's Canadian.
Ellen Wong is Canadian.
Ellen Wong's Canadian.
Is Chris Evans Canadian?
Brie Larson?
Brie Larson's Canadian.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty
Alison
sure she's
Pill is Canadian.
Alison
She's
Pill's
from Toronto
Canadian,
as well.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's quite a few Canadians that were cast in this movie.
It was well represented. Like Canada was well represented that day.
For sure. Okay. Next is favorite quote. So I'll just quickly dive in with my own here.
That's going to be a doozy.
I'm going to keep it simple. Milk and eggs, bitch. Love the vegan police.
Oh yeah, the vegan police. They're good. There's so many. There's so many to go by. I'm just gonna like quickly spitfire them. I'm gonna feed you to boredom. She's fickle and impulsive. Bread makes you fat. That one's just a classic.
I love that one, yeah.
But my favorite, also part of this vegan sequence. You once were a vegan, but now you will be gone.
Vegan?
Very good.
I have two.
Yeah.
The first one is I lesbians you.
No, I'm in lesbians with you. And then later he's like, I said lesbians.
Yeah. That's it. Because I fucked that shit up so many times.
Lesbians?
Yeah. And I can't remember. I can't find it exactly, but it's when Scott is, what's the guitarist's name? The lead singer, the talent?
Steven Stills.
That's Steven Stills, right? Yeah. When he's like, oh yeah, my new girlfriend's coming over, and he's like, ooh, the 17-year-old one, and then he's like, yeah, and he's like, so is she gonna vibe or not vibe? What does he say?
Is she gonna geek out on us?
Is she gonna geek out on us? And he's like, yeah, she could geek out, and he's like, yeah, I bet she better geek out.
She geeks. She can geek. She has the capacity to geek.
It honestly reminds me of like when being a teenager and like hanging out with the boys, and we're like, oh my god, is a girl coming? Is a girl coming to hang out with us? It's like, yeah, the girl's coming. Just, do you think she likes us? I was like, I don't know.
Does she have any friends?
She's like, you're like, hello?
Be cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Mine, I don't exactly remember where it's from, but I believe it's from the dream section that he has about the girl. It's when I'm around, I kind of feel like I'm on drugs. Not that I do drugs, unless you do drugs. Then I check out of them all the time. All of them. It's just he's so in love with me.
Yeah, he will do anything.
Oh man! All right, since a couple of you gave a bunch, I'm just gonna go with one more that I have to mention.
No,
you've got mail. Dude, this thing claims I have mail. It's amazing what we can do with computers these days. Dude, this thing claims I have mail.
The sharpness of the roommate.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
So witty.
Armchair moment.
Ooh.
So who wants to kick us off with this?
I think you mentioned, and I'm gonna piggyback on you with this one, but it does overstay its welcome just a little bit, or it gets a little bit draggy towards the end because it's so intensely energetic and pulsating and high octane that beyond like an hour and a half, beyond 90 minutes, you just start to fatigue a little bit because you're your eyes are just draining and you're over censored almost.
Yeah.
So it does feel like and it's loud. Like I remember watching it yesterday, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like when it stopped, I was like, "Damn, it's quiet."
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's like a loud film.
Yeah.
So it does. I think it penalizes itself by like dragging on just a little bit too much. I think films like this need to be real tight, like real tight, real. I know. I feel just because like I get drained easily when it's like overstimulating. So that's my only kind of armchair moment, I guess, critique.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I would agree in general. I think in general it doesn't allow itself enough of those perhaps more quiet character moments that I think could sustain us through some of the more frenetic sequences. Like in particular, I think the relationship between Michael Cera's character, between Scott Pilgrim and Ramona Flowers, they could have done with developing the root of his attraction for her. I mean, I know that it literalizes it with like she's the girl of his dreams, and that's all there is to her, and she's nothing more. But I feel like we got that one date sequence where he sort of falls for her to the point that he's willing to fight these evil exes to be with her. I feel like we could have seen a bit more of that and her backstory, and maybe that would have balanced it out so it doesn't feel too exhausting to you.
Yeah, like I felt like it was too short. I think maybe or maybe just like the things that they chose to focus on weren't really appealing to me now as like a 30-year-old, you know, rather than like when I was a kid, I probably would have been like, this is a perfect movie.
Yeah.
Like it is amazing. Yeah, because there's a fighting, there's hot chicks,
there's visual effects,
sick guitar rock,
sick music. I love it. But yeah. I think that's it. I guess it just overdoes it a little bit in certain points, and then
the focus on like what you said with the X's, like you just get a lot of a lot of moments with X's and a lot of like focus on them, and then a lot of them get like put to
like
the side
I love that
bit.
running gag where he's like your ex-boyfriends and she's like exes, but then the only time you see the ex-girlfriend or like her. What is it? What'd she say? By curious phase.
And now I'll be bi furious.
Yeah. Like I wish they kind of
expanded on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
On
I
that
think
ex, you know, like
and-
she was really cool.
And that's another point of humor where I feel like because they had to rush through it, they kind of reduced her to this one simple trait, which is the embittered, angry lesbian who is still pining over the woman who quote unquote went straight or was just going through a phase. Like they could have explored that so much more, but they probably didn't have time because they can't make this a 3-hour film, you know. Maybe it would have been better served as a
miniseries.
If it were to,
I mean, today it probably would be a Netflix show.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it would be a good show, and that was something that I found quite problematic. Like more than the racist stuff was the way they treated the lesbian character because she was they exactly what you said, and then they also make her like
susceptible just to like a single touch that gives her an orgasm.
That too, but like they also make it seem as if like she's not even like she's still what was his name, Gideon? She's like but Gideon is blah blah blah, and I was like, this would never happen. Like it just seemed weird. And I think there would have been more of an LGBTQ plus emphasis if it was made now.
I thought it was kind of clever though how they had Michael Cera fighting her through Ramona Flowers because he was like, I can't hit a girl, and he said, well, you're gonna have to. So she just like puppet moves his arms in the fight.
That was actually I found that pretty funny.
But Nico, do you have anything, any criticisms or
to be honest, it was
things you change?
Quite hard to find any critics after this movie. I've watched so many times, but I think it's just like every time I finish that movie, I'm always left wanting more. And like I wish there would be more like music battles, and I know there are already, but like I just want more music, more like garage rock, White Stripes vibe and things like that. You know?
Well, I wonder if it would have gotten a greenlit for a sequel if it didn't bomb at the box office.
But then it kind of covered most of what happens in the comic book.
Yeah,
it did. Pretty hard.
Yeah.
Sex bombed.
Sex bombed.
Bombed.
I loved this movie. I always thought that
it's a cult fave.
It's a cult fave.
It's a very good.
It was critically well received. It just didn't light fire at the box office.
Didn't appeal to the masses for some reason.
But anyway, shall we move on then to the mystery question?
Well, before we get to the mystery question, I just want to talk about the soundtrack because this is one of the only soundtracks that like I actually used to listen to. Like I was watching this film and I was like, oh my God, I still know the words to these songs. This is so strange. Especially the Brie Larson's band, that song.
Oh, Metric.
Yeah, I really loved that
So
song
that was
because I
her
was
band.
like
Yeah, 'cause
in
she
love
was a
with
musician, right?
yeah.
She was a singer.
But
back in
the band that wrote and performed the song that the Clash at Demon Head play in this movie is a band called Metric,
And
which
she
is a very
actually
well-known
sang.
indie band from Canada.
Cool.
Oh, sorry?
And she actually sang.
I don't know. I was
She did.
told,
She had some YouTube videos. Well, she has like a lot of YouTube videos.
and it
of her
actually says
singing.
featuring Brie Larson
Yeah.
on the soundtrack.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
She had a small music career back in like.
But
the
she was, I
early
know she was like a
90s.
teen pop star when she was
Yes.
younger, but I
Yes.
didn't know if that was the Metric's lead singer or Brie Larson singing
Right. It's possible
on
that
that
it could
track.
have
Because I
been.
know it's Metric
It's quite
produced the song.
it's
Could have
quite
been
funny.
like-
It's quite funny seeing
yeah.
those early like YouTube videos of like Brie Larson
Yeah.
singing because it's
Yeah.
like they're like not great songs either.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
funny. It's just odd to see.
And now
that.
she's like an Academy Award winning actress.
yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with you. The soundtrack is just amazing. It's like
Incredible.
childhood.
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
And also, I think I've found out that the film composer for that movie is called Nigel Godrich.
Oh yeah.
Is, yeah,
Otherwise known as the fifth or sixth member of Radiohead.
exactly. Yeah. Worked on OK Computer. Now works with like Roger Waters and
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
member of The Smile as well because he
Yeah,
produces
Oh, I love
pretty
The
much
Smile,
all
yeah.
of
Yeah, The Smile's
Tom
great.
York's stuff.
Yeah.
Right on.
yeah.
Right on.
So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And
stuff.
Beck did all of the Sex Bob-omb songs.
Yep. I fucking
Brilliant.
love Beck. Beck's.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Mystery question.
Mystery question. So, dun 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 dun. Okay. I had a few questions I was toying with, but I'm just going to go with a pretty simple one. Would you have, if you were in Scott's shoes, would you have gone with Ramona at the end, or would you have stayed and tried to see how things went with Knives?
Because there's an alternate ending, isn't there?
Yeah, there is an alternate ending.
Edgar shot two endings.
And also, I remember when it came out, a lot of people were like, he should have, some people were like, he should have stayed with Knives. Knives is awesome. They
Yeah.
had that great combo at the end.
yeah.
And Ramona and him don't actually have that much chemistry, or like
Chemistry,
she's just the figment of his imagination.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put it to the floor if you guys have any POVs on that.
Ramona.
Yeah. Always
Ramona.
It's just
Ramona.
like she's the end prize of the whole video game.
Yeah.
Like
the
Princess
prize.
Peach
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Super
yeah.
Mario.
Like, yeah, it just works that way for the ending. It would have been like a pointless ending if he went with Knives. It would be like the ending of How I Met Your Mother, where like the mother
Ooh.
dies, and then spoilers if no one's seen How I Met Your
Spoilers
Mother.
for a show that ended 9 years ago.
Yeah, well, like I haven't seen
and that
fucking
was
Breaking
super
Bad.
well
So
received after
what? How I Met Your Mother?
No, it was,
it was not.
No,
yeah.
no, exactly. It went downhill after like.
Yeah, and they
third
had to
season.
reshoot it the
Yeah.
last scene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think like there would have been no point in the movie if
But
he went
Exactly.
with
okay,
Knives.
I see what you're saying, but wasn't the whole
I have a
point in a
different
way
answer.
of the finale was that Scott finds self-respect?
Yeah.
Because like that's what I loved about when he takes the extra life and he gets to redo that
Yeah,
final
yeah, yeah.
battle. And first he was fighting with the sword of love, but
Yeah.
then he got KO'd. But then he learns self-respect. He apologizes to Knives. He apologizes to Ramona. And it almost like it doesn't matter if he wins Ramona or not. It's about him becoming a better person, right?
That's why I think I'm going to go with a different answer. I'm going to say neither.
Ah.
I would have liked to see Scott like go on a personal journey after that. To say like I don't
Just
I,
like be like a samurai, walk the earth with
a
his
Ronin,
with his sword,
just like
Yeah.
a Ronin. No, because I feel like he had a beautiful relationship with Knives. He fell in love with Ramona, but Ramona I don't know if she had that same kind of level of attachment. So it would have been good for him to kind of go on his own path, on his own journey after, kind of consolidating
And
the fact.
good for Ramona too,
good
because
for
she'd
Ramona.
been enslaved practically by
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
by this consortium of ex-boyfriends, of
Yeah.
evil ex-boyfriends. So it'd be nice for her to probably
Except be on her own as
be on her
well.
own, yeah.
Mhm.
And for Knives as well, 'cause she's young and she's like great, like she has a
Yeah.
whole life to.
And she's too cool for
and she's
Scott,
way too cool for
as
Scott.
we
yeah.
established, yeah.
So if everyone just went on their single journey,
But still, like they're all quite young. I don't think they would last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They I give Ramona and Scott like maybe 6 weeks before they break up.
exactly.
And
She's
then
like, you don't have anywhere to live. You're homeless.
You're homeless. Stop sleeping on my couch.
He becomes one of the exes.
Yeah, exactly. And
Hey.
there's the sequel.
Yeah, there's the sequel. Damn. That's
Also,
a
can
good
we
one.
talk about how like I love the little conversations he'd have with his roommate and like the increasing amount of men that would be in that.
Yeah, they all
I
shared
love that.
the same
They
bed.
all
So
shared the
cute.
same bed.
It's so funny.
All got up at the same time.
Can we not do dream time? Okay, great. Well, then to end, we're just gonna go with ratings, I think. So,
yeah.
Nico, do you know about the
He does.
totems?
Jabril briefly explained, yeah.
Oh, perfect.
But yeah, so which one? How are we doing it for this one?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah. Why don't you? Yeah, why
I think
don't
it's
you,
just easier if like
Yeah.
we just said it.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna go first
Mhm.
because I don't
Go
want
do it.
anyone to steal it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 8.5 coins.
All
out of
right.
10.
Classic,
yeah.
classic.
Nice
coins, yeah.
Arcade coins.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm gonna give it a 8.7 extra lives out of 10.
Nice. All right. I'm gonna give it 8 out of 10 Coke Zeros.
Nice.
Because there's a nice bit of symbolism.
Yeah.
They
Very good.
always attach the number 0
Yeah.
or the numeric.
Yeah.
Nico.
I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 4 bass strings.
Wow.
I like it.
4
Go
out of
with it.
4, so that's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
folks.
Okay.
Bass
Damn.
strings. So that's interesting.
4.
Like 4 out of 4.
Ah, see, that's a music
Yeah.
reference,
Yeah.
Four
guys.
out
For
of 4
those.
bass. Okay, I get
Bada boom, bada
it.
bing.
I love that. So this is a perfect score for you
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, honestly, I love that movie. Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
sick.
that's
Nice.
why no armchair moment, man. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. None to be had.
Oh, brilliant.
Fantastic. We got a 10 out of 10 here. And this is
Nice.
highly rated. This is a highly rated
Pretty,
film.
pretty.
Yeah.
very
across
fun.
the board. I think this is the first time where we're very close.
We're very close.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, before we finish, I just wanted to give my few thoughts on the last 3 movies. So the 3 movies: Eternal Sunshine, In the Mood for Love,
Mood for Love.
and Scott Pilgrim. I just thought they were 3 great movies, 3 very different movies, visually, in terms of plot as well. Well, I don't know. The first one and the last one kind of like were very similar in my eyes, but I really enjoyed this theme just because. I don't know. You just said it was bad romance, but I don't think it's really that bad.
I mean, I
don't
think
know.
it's a bit of a pithy title that I
Yeah.
came up with, but it's more about love that is frustrated or brings up challenges in some ways.
Yeah.
And you can make the argument that a lot of love just be that way.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
But
That's how you
know,
work through the
Yeah, these
bad,
are
I
not
guess,
like
yeah.
smooth journeys
Mm.
to romantic companionship.
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
rocky
But
trails.
there were 3 movies that I didn't think I would watch again. Like they were just kind of movies that I would had watched in the past, but it was really nice to revisit them, and they were, I think, a perfect trio of films.
Yeah.
So, thank you,
And
thank you for that.
And some visually striking films too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for that. My eyes and ears and sensory self. Thanks you.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Are we doing a bonus-ode after this, or are we just gonna finish it off? Because we have to say bye until
Ooh,
our next.
I
season.
think we should do a bonus.
There's
ode.
probably going to be a bonus ode in
Alright.
there.
Yeah, we'll find the time.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, then this is not the last episode of this season, but until the bonus ode, thank you for listening. Don't forget to comment, share, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Give us that 5-star rating, and a lovely thank you to Nico for being
Thank you,
here.
guys. It's been
Yeah,
great.
thank you so much.
Yeah, round of applause
Honestly,
for
thank
you.
Nico. And if you have anything to plug, anything you're working on, or if you just want to do a shout out.
Yeah, honestly, shout out to you 3. You're just amazing friends, and
thank
I'm
you.
glad I got to talk to you for this hour.
Yeah.
And, hopefully again soon.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Please come
with
back.
Yara. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have a
yeah,
duo.
yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
That'll be great fun.
Alrighty. Well, on that note, ciao ciao for now, my people.